I'm staring down 40. I need to come up with fun things to do with my life. It doesn't always mean that I need to go on the world's biggest adventures and go around the world, but doing things around your backyard with your friends is always worth it. So one night, I was at a brewery with some friends, and we were discussing adventures we like to do, and I threw out the fun idea of, what if we got dropped off in Ellensburg, which is a town like 150 miles from Seattle, and then ride our bikes home?
We need to order these and not tell.
So a couple months later, that's exactly what Tad, Garrett, Andrew, and I were doing. After a night of a couple beers in town and not great sleep at the Quinta Inn, we were on our bikes, headed west into the wind.
Walking into the signs, red flashing lights by your side. Take a number.
Now, Ellensburg is a town that is well known to be very windy, but I think we all underestimated that just a little bit. When I say it was windy, it was really windy. You'd be putting in basically all the power you could into the pedals and find yourself creeping along the gravel pathways. One of the fun things about this trail is that there are a lot of old rail tunnels that you get to ride through, which is just crazy to go from bright sunlight to these super dark tunnels. And we definitely did not bring enough headlights to really be able to see through some of the longer ones.
Messages you sent to an end, you're hiding now. Why they're down? Tell me, have we met? Heard it from a friend.
This next photo is one of my favorites from the whole trip, just because it feels like it encapsulates just the joy, the adventure, and the camaraderie of the group of us riding together. Also, it makes Tad's legs look great. That's when the weather changed. It went from beautiful, bright sunny to beginning to rain. Well, put a little extra power and rushed on into the town of Cleellum to have lunch, which we thought would be a nice, quick lunch and then be able to get back on our bikes. We were there for 4 hours. You can see why.
Take it, I want more, nothing like ever before. I can give it all.
Why am I standing in this shade? This is so cool.
I can give it all.
Eventually it cleared and it felt like it was time to get back on the bikes, and so we started off with a couple of skid tests.
Instead, I'ma find out. Heard it from a friend that you spent and you're running out. Take it now.
One thing that's fun about these kind of trips is so often when I go on adventures, I bring way too many cameras. And for this trip, I knew that I needed to keep it simple because I was carrying it all. So I just brought my phone and this one point and shoot camera, which always made it fun, simple, and just a nice way to kind of immerse myself in both documenting, but also enjoying the adventure along the way. And this is when the rain started in earnest and continued for the rest of the day. It was the kind of rain that's not hard to ride in once you're going. But you would never begin an adventure in this kind of rain. Like, you'd come up with an excuse to get out of it. But at this point, we had nothing to do but just keep pedaling and hoping that it takes less time than we expect to get up to the pass and eventually on to some hot frozen pizzas. As we pulled out of the gas station with beers and pizza, we knew it was going to be the wettest mile up to the condo. And, well, let's ask Garrett what happened.
Hit it to me like that. Hey Garrett, what happened? Well, I went for a fall, Joe. Turns out there was a sharp edge in the front. And the kid's flat. 100 yards from where we're trying to go. In the pouring rain.
But we made it. And then we watched a stupid movie, got a good night's sleep, and woke up to dry clothes, coffee, and a Father's Day breakfast without being fed in bed by our children, which, you know, is what it is. And then we hopped on our bikes and started continuing west. Day 2 started off with another trip into the tunnels, and this time we were a little bit more prepared light-wise to be able to see, especially because this is the longest tunnel on the whole trail. And it really meant, like, you really come to understand the light at the end of the tunnel concept and phrase, because you're just going for 3 miles with your headlights and then this little faint light off in the distance. After the tunnel began one of the most fun parts of the trip, because it was 30 miles of a casual downhill where we were able to splash and fly and joke and laugh and just cruise all the way down the pass. We eventually made it to Fall City for some very needed burgers and fries. And we continued trail-wise, heading out into the sunlight as the weather really started to open up and became a lovely afternoon to be on a bike. After our last mechanical, we were back in the city, which I don't know if you've ever done a trip like this, but it's so weird to have spent so much time in peace and quiet and tranquility and just time with friends that all of a sudden you're on a little trail right next to the interstate, and it is jarringly loud. I can't even begin to explain how weird it is to all of a sudden have cars going by at 70 miles an hour and how different that feels than the slow, quiet experience you've been having. But it's also just part of the adventure, because you can't live in the mountains. Well, I don't know. I guess some people can, but jobs and life and stuff lives here, and that's what we had to get back to. So with that, we were at the last climb to meet our families for some beers and high fives, and be glad that we had this awesome adventure.
You did it!
So, come up with silly ideas and go do fun things with your friends. It's always worth it and creates memories you'll never forget.